Hi, and welcome back to the Bassin Hole. My name is Paul, and I'll be your guide today. Today we're going to do a little washer repair. My LG front load has been throwing an OE error code, and looking that up, looks like there's going to be an issue with the drain pump, or perhaps a clog in the drain somewhere. So I'm going to pull the unit out and pull it apart and see if we can find anything wrong with it. Worst case scenario, I'll have to order some parts and get those installed. If you like this hat, today's episode is brought to you by Rabbit Clam Apparel. Before engaging with a rabbit clam, make sure it successfully completed a full wash cycle. The tools you'll need for this job are screwdrivers of various sizes and channel locks. Channel locks you'll use for removing the hoses on the washing machine, but be sure not to over tighten or over torque when removing the hoses, otherwise you'll strip the plastic part. I thought this was going to be a much simpler job than it ended up being. You'll need quite a few more tools to complete this successfully. I included a pry bar, some cordless drills, and drill bits. The cordless drills came in real handy because around the base there were 16 screws that had to come out, and removing them was a lot faster with the cordless drill. Previously, my drain hose was connected with a large zip tie. I'm going to replace that with some Velcro so that it's easier to remove and adjust when needed. Once your hoses and power are disconnected and secured to the back of the washing machine, you can easily slide the washing machine out and get it into an area where it's easier to work on. Well, you have the equipment removed. Take time to clean the area. You never know how long it'll be before you're back here again, and years of buildup will cause quite a mess. So the washer's been throwing an OE error code, and that usually indicates a drain issue, according to Google. So I pulled it out, and I'm going to check all the drain hoses to make sure they're not clogged. It's been probably 9 years since this thing has been removed, so the chances are it's pretty gummed up. We'll get that cleaned up, and maybe that relieves the OE code. If not, we'll have to order a new drain pump and get that installed. A bit of a hassle, but I managed to get the drain hose out, and it doesn't look too horribly clogged. I'm going to run some fresh water through it on the sink and see if anything comes out of it. I didn't notice any other clogs in the works here, so we'll see what we find. Well, we experienced a bit of an explosion pushing pressurized water through this hose. There was some clogging in there. I managed to free that up. Hopefully that does the trick, but you'll never know until you put it back together and try, which is what we're going to do now. After you thoroughly clean the area, you're prepared to move the washer back into place. And now it's time to reconnect everything. So we got our hoses that are going to connect. We'll use our small channel locks to tighten them up a little bit. You don't want to over tighten them. The fittings are plastic, and the rubber grommets within the hoses should press snugly against the plastic. But if you over tighten it, they will leak. So don't do that too much. And then the drain hose, it's going to go back in the drain, and we're going to secure that with some Velcro. Now that we've got everything back in place, I'm going to flip her on and run it through a full cycle just to make sure she does what she's supposed to. If it doesn't, I'll drain it and run it in diagnostic mode to find out what else might be the problem. looks like that did not fix our error. Still getting the OE. So I'm going to put this into diagnostic modes and see if we can run a diagnostic test on it. There are 15 different diagnostic modes you can run on this, and it's recommended that you go through each of them to ensure that it functions as intended. I ended up having to remove the drain motor to service this, and doing so was a bit of a pain. There are two methods to access the motor, one from underneath and one through the front. I found that accessing it from the front was much more convenient. Unfortunately, I had to do this job twice because there are two different motors, and the second one that I found was the one that was actually bad. The first did not resolve the issue. Accessing it from the top is the same as removing the drain hoses, but I'm going to show you how to access it from the bottom if you need to do so. First step is to remove this little access panel, pull it out, it just clips in, and check your drain. So you have this drain hose, which pulls out and has a tab on it. If you pull this tab, any water that's in the system is going to drain. So get a bowl so that you can catch it. And then once it is drained completely, you can remove this circular piece, which is a coin catch, and that will hopefully be empty of any debris. But if there's debris in there, that could cause a drain issue. So clear that of debris, and then once the coin catch is pulled, you can unscrew the two screws, and then this facade comes out and exposes the actual mounting hardware for the pump. You may also have to remove the washer from the base and access screws underneath that will allow you to remove the pump if necessary. I'm going to go ahead and remove the facade and get into the axis of the pump housing so that I can see if there's anything obstructing the flow of water, and if there's not, then I'm going to assume that the pump is bad and probably have to order a new pump. With my bowl in place, I'm going to remove the plug here and allow the water to drain. Make sure you put your plug somewhere where you're going to find it easy. It'd be a shame to lose that and then not be able to stop this hose in the future, because this hose connects directly to your tank, and if the tank is full of water and you don't have the plug in this, it will make a mess of your house. With the water drained as much as you can go ahead and unscrew the coin catch and pull it free and check it for debris. There's nothing in mine, so it is probably a pump issue. So that is not good news, but it's not the end of the world. Now with the water drained and the coin catch removed, I can go ahead and unscrew these two screws that hold the facade in place, and we can start gaining access to the actual drain assembly. This is where I realized I was going to have to separate the washing machine from the base. Here I use a pry bar to break the base and the washing machine apart so that I can lean it back. I also used a stool to hold the washing machine in place about at the height of the base. Well, I had to remove the pump. As you see, the motor itself is very loosey-goosey. You know, it has some magnetic pull. Probably still works, but it's on its last leg. So this is most likely the failure mode. I didn't find any obstructions in any of the drains, so I'm going to replace the motor and hope for the best. I went ahead and photographed how the wires were in position. The DC motor, so polarity matters. It'll run both ways. It doesn't look like there's much pitch, if any, on the prop itself. So I don't know that the polarity matters much, but I want to make sure that I put it back the way it was. If you saw in the time lapse, there was a screw that was obscured by some of this plastic sheeting. There's like 40 screws to get that off. So rather than take the plastic sheeting off, I drilled a hole so that I could access the screw. It ended up that I didn't need to remove that screw at all to get to the pump, but now it's easy enough to get to. And a trick I use for extracting that screw is on my long screwdriver here, which is not magnetic. I went ahead and put a neodymium magnet on it so that I could pull the screw back through the hole. And then that helps with putting it in as well. Highly recommend getting magnetic screwdrivers, but if you have some that are not magnetic, putting a magnet on the shank will allow you to extract some of those screws a little easier. So what's wrong about this being a DC motor? It's actually an AC motor. It runs on 120 volts, 60 hertz. So I'm going to go ahead and cannibalize an old power cable and make an adapter for this, so we can plug it into the wall and test it and see if it actually spins as it's intended to, or if it has wobble issues or something else that might have caused it not to be able to pump the water as necessary. So I got my adapter put together. I can plug the motor in and then plug this cable into the power and test whether this works or not. I didn't wire a switch into here, so what I'm going to do is use another power switch, or power strip rather, and plug it into my existing power strip, and then use the switch on it to control the on-off of the motor. So the light comes on when it's on, it's off when it's off, so I can now safely plug in the motor. And when I push the power button, the motor should spin if I have it wired correctly. And there it goes. It does operate. And I'm going to do something a little dangerous here. I'm going to flip it while I'm holding it to see if it has any strength. It does not. So it's not able to break free of my hand whenever I actually have it gripped. So that tells me that the motor is probably on its way out and it doesn't have enough oomph to actually force the water up the hoses that it needs to. So I've ordered a new motor. It's only $35 on Amazon, and it should be here tomorrow. So it's a new day, and we got our pump in, and now we're going to get it back installed here. So we're first going to connect the wires, put the 3 screws in up top, and then see if this thing actually functions. We get everything buttoned back together, and there's 16 screws around the skirt that can attach the plastic sheeting here to the base. And get this put back in, and then slide it back into the laundry room and get it connected.
Strike two. That motor did not fix the problem. However, there's another motor. I had to redo this job entirely to replace the second motor. I didn't record the process of doing the second motor, but I did take a picture. You can see that I've got the motor removed from the brackets below and all the hoses removed from the housing. There were 3 10mm bolts holding this in place with an entire housing bracket, and I pulled that out and was able to identify and replace that motor as well. After doing so, I was able to get this washer to successfully cycle. Oh, the sweet sound of triumph. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.
And we have success. That was a full cycle and the drain worked.